What's good, y'all? L Famous, living my life, not thinking about it twice. Don't be scared to like, subscribe, or share this dope content if you like it. You heard? Let's get it. Let's get it. Now, this joint right here is a special edition. You heard? Rappers edition. 2pac Shakur. You heard? The famous 2pac Shakur. The many times that I ran into him or I met him. You heard? You know what I'm saying? And I met 2pac one time. Yeah, I met 2pac one time. You heard? 2pac Shakur. You heard? I used to love 2pac. You heard? I used to love 2pac, man, because 2pac was a deep brother, man. He wasn't just a rapper, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember when he came out with the joint, They Got Me Trapped. You heard? They got me trapped. You know what I'm saying? And that was my joint. You know what I'm saying? That was my joint. I used to watch Rap City, you know what I'm saying, because I had cable, you know what I'm saying? My grandmother always had cable, you know what I'm saying? I had WHT and all that, you know what I'm saying? I had Homebox before. Remember the Homebox? Used to be Homebox, you know what I'm saying? And then they came out with WHT, you know what I'm saying, with the little key in it, you heard? And my grandmother had that. So I grew up with cable, you know what I'm saying? I had cable since a kid, you know what I'm saying? I had a cable since a kid, you know what I'm saying? And I used to watch Video Music Box, and I remember when 2pac first came out with that first song, You Got Me Trapped. You understand what I'm saying? You Got Me Trapped. You know what I'm saying? The video, shit was dope. You know what I'm saying? They was chasing him through the video. You know what I'm saying? The cops and all that, chasing his crew. You know what I'm saying? You could tell that they was in Oakland, California somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Because it was the scenery of a California scenery. You know what I'm saying? And then he came out with Brenda Got a Baby. You know what I'm saying? That was my joint too. You heard? Brenda Got a Baby. You heard? I really was feeling Pac when he came out with that Brenda Got a Baby. You heard? Now, the first time I met Pac, I only met him one time, but I seen him on 3 different occasions. Now, the first time that I met Pac is when he was filming the movie Above the Rim. I don't know where he was at. I think that he was in Julia Richmond or A. Philip Randolph filming the movie. You heard? Well, me and my dudes, we was in Shaka Zulu. We was going to Shaka Zulu, the weed spot on 145th Street and 8th Avenue. You know what I'm saying? That was our weed spot. They used to sell a Nicks. You know what I'm saying? Nicks of that good joint. You know what I'm saying? The brown bag. You know what I'm saying? They used to have the brown bag, and they used to have, you know, different color bags, you know what I'm saying? But Shaka Zulu was the spot. We used to go to 3 Wise Men on 147th and 8th, and we used to go to Shaka Zulu at this time, you know what I'm saying? And one day we go on to Shaka Zulu, you know what I'm saying? And as we about to go in, as we was coming out, 2pac was going in. You heard? Actually, we was holding the door for 2pac to go in. You know what I'm saying? We was going out and 2pac was coming in. And he had a limo parked right in front of the Shaka Zulu. He got out the limo, and as we was going out the door, he was coming in the door. And it was crazy because he had on the whole get up from Above the Rim. The whole get up. You could tell he was filming a movie. You know what I'm saying? And it was a white limo, it was a white limo parked in front of the front of the Shaka Zulu. He jumped out and got his own weed. So boom, what we was doing, what we seen that it was 2pac, normally we was just keep it moving. But we didn't keep it moving. We stand out front. We waited till he came out. When he came out, we was standing out front it was a dude that used to run around Harlem. You understand what I'm saying? And y'all might remember this guy. It was a dude that used to run around Harlem. He really was a chick, but he used to look like a dude. You know what I'm saying? He used to come off himself like a dude. He was the dude that used to be running around Harlem and the Bronx, but mainly Manhattan and Harlem. And he used to sell all the skelly hats, all the gloves, all the scarves. He used to sell all the hip stuff to all the drug dealers and all the people. You understand what I'm saying? And he used to stand in front of the weed spots, and he used to be on 125th Street. Anybody that remember this guy, I forgot the dude's name. He really was a chick. But he used to be like a guy. You understand what I'm saying? You would think he was a guy, but he really was a chick. And everybody that knew him from Harlem and the Bronx, they used to he used to sell the bootleg Tommy sweaters. He used to sell all the skelly hats. You know what I'm saying? All the skelly hats. I'm talking about fire skelly hats. You know what I'm saying? That all the hustlers and the drug dealers used to be wearing. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always cop from him. I always cop from him. You catch him on 125th, but you catch him walking up and down Harlem. Everybody that's from Harlem and from the Bronx, they know about this dude. Y'all remember that dude? If y'all remember that dude, get in my comments, because we were sitting in front of Shaka Zulu waiting for 2pac to come out, and 2pac came out and he bought a hat or two from the dude that I'm telling you about. That he really was a chick, but he used to come off as a man. You would think he was a man, but he really was a chick. You heard? You understand what I'm saying? That was my dude, man. That was my dude. I bought so much stuff off of that dude. I'm talking about skelly hats, scarves, official fake Tommy, the bootleg Tommy sweaters and all that. Yeah, remember when they came out with the bootleg Tommy sweaters with the big Tommy sign? You heard? In the front? Yeah, he was selling all those. You heard? All the bootleg, you know what I'm saying? He was one of the first dudes doing that 28th Street stuff. You heard? Everybody that remember that dude that used to be in Harlem. I think he was from the Bronx, but he used to sell all his stuff in Harlem. You heard? All his stuff in Harlem. He was the man. You know what I'm saying? He used to be on 125th, 145th, everywhere. He would walk up and down. And he had mad game. He had the gift of gab. He sell you the coat off your back. He'll sell you the coat off his back. You know what I'm saying? So boom, we standing in front of the joint. 2pac come out of Shaka Zulu. He gave us all a pound, and he bought some hats off a homeboy. And we talking to him, we having a light conversation. So he was like, yo, shit, what's up, Pac? He like, yeah, he said, I'm down, I'm not too far from here. I'm filming a movie Above the Rim, you heard? Basketball movie, you heard? Playing a drug dealer. Said, oh, all right. Pac official. And the reason why he was official, because he was vibing with us. He was talking to us like a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? He didn't just jump back in his limo. He didn't send his dude to get his. He had dudes sitting in the limo. He could have sent them dudes to get his weed. Nah, Pac got out the limo himself and got his own weed. Got his own weed. 2pac, you heard? Crazy official. Crazy official. You know what I'm saying? Had on the same get up from Above the Rim. Had on that same get up. You heard? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, man, 2pac is official, man. 2pac is official. You know what I'm saying? So now, boom. Couple of weeks later, I run into 2pac again. Now this time I'm at Madison Square Garden. Now, I think Madonna was having a concert. You heard? In Madison Square Garden. You heard? It was in October. It was in October of 1993. I'll never forget it. You heard? And we working a Madonna concert at Madison Square Garden, right? And I think it was either a Madonna concert or it was a radio concert. You heard? But I know it was an R&B singer. And I know it was somebody that would because we went in, we snuck in, because I remember I told you I sell shirts at the concerts. So we were selling shirts at the concert. You know what I'm saying? And I can't remember what concert it was. It was either Madonna or it was a radio concert. You heard? With Mariah Carey in them, you know what I'm saying? But I think it was Madonna, you heard? Because 2pac performed, you heard? 2pac performed, you know what I'm saying? And I remember we outside, we at the Garden, and we selling shirts. It's over, the concert is over. And we selling shirts, we selling shirts, we selling shirts, we selling shirts. So then all of a sudden, you hear a whole bunch of you hear a crowd of women screaming, girls screaming, and I'm like, and me and my man, we selling shirts, so we stop, we look, and you see the crowd coming towards us, and it's a crowd. And this is the first time I ever seen this, you heard? And I ever seen this with my own eyes. It was a crowd of chicks surrounding somebody, right? And the person was walking, and they was in the middle, and they had their bodyguards around them. And as they was walking, they was pushing the girls back, but the girls were screaming at the top of their lungs. I'm talking about, and they coming from a distance. So when they coming, as they get closer, Who they screaming for? Who's in the middle of a whole bunch of guys surrounding them? Tupac. Tupac mad short. He got the Carhartt jacket on, and down low, he got one hand low, and you could see the barrel of a gun. You can see a barrel of a gun. Tupac is walking out of the Madison Square Garden with a gun tucked in his thing like this. And it tucked in his thing like this. And you can see it's a mad crowd around him of girls, mainly girls, all women, screaming at the top of their lungs, Tupac, 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 but they just screaming. They not really even saying his name. They just screaming, you know what I'm saying? Like on some groupie shit. And this is the first time I ever seen women like go crazy or be hysterical over a star. You know what I'm saying? Over a star. This is my first time seeing it with my own eyes. And I'm like, oh shoot. And not only that, Tupac looked in the middle and he looked mad nervous, and he had the gun like this. You heard? He had the gun in his jacket like this. And he had a Carhartt on, and he had the Thug Life hat on. You heard? And he was walking out of that joint like this. While all them girls were screaming and all that, he wasn't even paying them no mind. He was looking at dudes. He was looking at us selling shirts. He was looking at all the dudes that he was walking past, you heard? And he had security around him, you heard? But I could see his gun, like he had the gun like this. You heard? So I told my man, I said, yo, you see Tupac, he got the gun, B. That nigga Tupac got the hammer out, B. That nigga ain't trusting nobody, you heard? And he was walking looking like this. From side to side, little ass dude, you know what I'm saying? Little ass dude, Tupac, you heard? Gangster, you know what I'm saying? He walking out like this. And he was ice grilling us, you heard? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we looking grimy, you know what I'm saying? He don't know where we from, he don't know. And I think this is when all that joint is jumping off with him, you heard? You know what I'm saying? He started getting paranoid and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So now the real reason why I remember this story is because not only did Tupac come out the joint, girls screaming, going crazy, and he got a gun, and he's nervous and scared, not scared, but he's nervous, looking at dudes like, looking at everybody as he walk out. He ain't paying them girls no attention. And I'm talking about he got a crowd of girls around him screaming at the top of their lungs. I ain't never heard no girls do this. I ain't never seen no people act like this over no stars. You know what I'm saying? I told you I used to be in the tunnel all the time, around stars all the time. I was around Snoop and them. I was with Snoop Dazz and them niggas in Club USA. Anybody know about Club USA back in the days, you heard? You know what I'm saying? After one of the VMA joints, Club USA was popping. Snoop and them dudes came through. They came to Club USA. When they got to go in the club, the bouncer was like, "Yo, take your shoes off." Snoop said, "Man, we don't take our shoes off in no club. I ain't taking my shoes off. You crazy? I'm Snoop Dogg. You heard? I'm Snoop Dogg." And then the promoter had to come out and be like, "Nah, don't worry about it, Snoop. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, go in." You heard? Snoop and them dudes had on a long Carhartt joint with the long joint, walking, looking at everybody on the line going in. You know what I'm saying? On some Cali shit. You heard? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look at Snoop Dazz and these niggas, B. You know what I'm saying? These niggas is regular niggas, B. But you could tell them niggas was ganged out. You heard? Because they was different. You know what I'm saying? They walking like this. And we was in the front, you know what I'm saying? And we heard them niggas like, we heard the bouncer like, "Yo, take your sneakers off." Nigga Snoop said, we don't take our sneakers off, B. You crazy? I'm Snoop Dogg. Don't take my sneakers off. You heard? You know what I'm saying? The bouncer was, the promoter was like, "Nah, all right, let them in. That's Snoop Dogg and them, you heard?" They had us on the line for like 2 hours. We didn't even get in the club that day. Word to my mother. You know what I'm saying? That's how off the wall the joint was. The line didn't move. The line did not move, you heard? And my man pulled up with the Benz, was like, "Yo, y'all niggas gonna wait on that line, man?" I was like, "Hell no." We jumped up the line, jumped right in my man Benz. We went uptown, you heard? Bought some smoke. And we was chilling uptown, you know what I'm saying? So back in those days, you always was seeing entertainers, stars, like nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like I told you, I used to be in there in the tunnel with Biggie. When I first seen Biggie in the tunnel, the nigga Tim's was leaning, man. That's my word. Biggie Tim's was leaning, B. You know what I'm saying? Biggie Tim's was leaning, you heard? You know what I'm saying? Now, and then after that day, when Tupac was walking out the garden and all the women were screaming for him, it was crazy because After Tupac walked out, and all you see about, no exaggeration, about 10 girls screaming for him. Yeah! Starstruck, right? I swear to God, Tupac walked out. About 3-4 minutes later, another rapper came walking out. Ain't no girls or nobody was screaming or nothing for him, you heard? And he came bouncing out the joint like, you know what I'm saying? Like he thought people was gonna be like, yo. Nobody said nothing. And it was Positive K. You remember the rapper Positive K? Yeah, he came out the joint and he came bouncing out the joint. Ain't nobody said nothing. It was quiet as a church mouse. But when Tupac came out, it was like 10 to 12 girls screaming, ah, ah, mad starstruck, you heard? They love Tupac. People love the Tupac, you heard? And it was gangster for me because not only was I seen chicks screaming for him, I seen Tupac keeping it real. Tupac was on point, you heard? Tupac had a ham in his hand like this, tucked in his thing, and all you could see is the front of the gun, you heard? The barrel of the gun, a little nickel-plated joint, you heard? And it was a little small gun too. It was like a little 380 or 2.5 or something, you heard? You know what I'm saying? But he had it and you could see it, you know what I'm saying? And he had it where dudes could see it, you heard? And that was the first time he walked all the way out of Madison Square Garden, all the way out. And he walked out the front, you heard? Like that, you know what I'm saying? And the reason why I remember that story so good is I remember 2 weeks later looking on the news and they like, Tupac shoots 2 off-duty cops in Atlanta. I was dumb sick. Because I was like, oh shoot, this nigga Tupac is the truth. I just seen a nigga with a hammer coming out of Madison Square Garden. You heard? And now 2 weeks later, he got accused of shooting 2 cops in Atlanta. You heard, on the highway? I was like, oh shoot. I was like, damn, B, they gonna fry Tupac. But right after they charged him, he beat it right after that. You heard? And I was shocked. I was like, oh shoot, he got around shooting 2 cops in Atlanta? I ain't know the circumstances or nothing, you heard? I thought he was my hero at that time. He was my hero, man. I was like, oh shoot, Tupac is the truth, man. Not only is he the truth, man, I met them dude at Shaka Zulu. He gave us a pound. He stopped and gave us a little conversation before he jumped in the limo. Then I'm watching the nigga walk out of Madison Square Garden. He got the hammer in his hand. He keeping it real. He ready to pop anybody that try to front. You heard? And I guess that's when he must have just had that beef with them Brooklyn cats. You know what I'm saying? Because he was walking out that joint like he had beef. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't trusting those girls around him screaming and yelling. He wasn't on that fan stuff. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't on that fan stuff. He had that hammer out like this, walking, looking like this. And then when he got to us, he was ice grilling us, B. He was ice grilling us, you heard? But I didn't take it that way because, you know, he was Tupac. And I figured, like, you know, he got his reasons, you know what I'm saying? I ain't look at him like, oh, this nigga Tupac ice grilling us, you heard? Nah, I looked at him like, yo, Tupac keeping it real, B. Nigga got that hammer on him, you heard? And he don't got it on. He got it in his hand, B. He got it in his hand, so if something would have jumped off, he would have popped niggas immediately. Tupac ain't play with them guns, B. He bust that gun, B. He bust that gun, B. You heard? You see why? That's why I tell you, 2 weeks later, he was all over the news as shooting 2 off-duty Atlanta police. You heard? Word to my mother. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't tell me Tupac wasn't the truth. You heard? You couldn't tell me Tupac wasn't the truth. You know what I'm saying? I used to love Tupac, you know what I'm saying? I used to love Tupac, man. I still do, man. You know what I'm saying? Still do, man. Tupac was my dude, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Even when he got into that beef with Biggie, you know what I'm saying? I didn't take no sides, you know what I'm saying? Tupac was my dude and Biggie was my dude, you know what I'm saying? Tupac was my dude and Biggie was my dude, you know what I'm saying? And then I also, one of the first time I heard Tupac did a concert in 1993 or 1994 at Riverbank State Park in Harlem on 145th Street. Everybody know about Riverbank. Well, when they first built that park, because remember, that park was different. They built that park in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? And when they built that park, right? When they built that park, they built it fresh. They built it a gym, they built a pool, they built everything. You heard? They hooked that park up. And 2Pac and Live Squad, Big Stretch, God Bless the Dead, performed in there. Live Squad. I remember Live Squad performing in there, going crazy. They were singing they early stuff. You heard? They sung a lot of stuff off of Thug Life. You heard? Remember Thug Life? You heard? Yeah, they sung a lot of stuff off of Thug Life. You heard? You heard? I seen 2Pac and Big Stretch in them perform when they was the Live Squad in Riverbank State Park in 1993 or 1994 when they first built that park up. You heard? And they performed on a little bullshit stage that they had in the park. You understand what I'm saying? 2Pac and the Live Squad stretching them. You heard? And if they see that and Stretching them brothers see that, they probably could remember that when Stretching them, the Live Squad performed at Riverbank State Park on 145th Street in Harlem. You heard? You know what I'm saying? Word. It was dope. That was the first time I heard a Live Squad. You heard? They were singing they sung a couple of tracks off of Thug Life. You heard? Not a lot of tracks, like 1 or 2 tracks, and then they sung a lot of stuff that Live Squad was doing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that Live Squad was doing. You heard? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, B. Word, man. You heard? 2Pac was the truth, man. That was my guy, man. You know what I'm saying? Even in prison, B. I told y'all I had a fight over with the dude Lead Pipe. You know what I'm saying? That was down with Pistol Pete and Sex Money Murder. You heard? I told you we had a fight over 2Pac and Biggie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I was on Biggie's side and he was on 2Pac's side. You know what I'm saying? But I liked it, both of them. Both of them was my dudes. I didn't take no side when that happened with them, when they got in the beef. You know what I'm saying? I was real upset that my man 2Pac was getting framed for a rape and all that. And I knew he was getting framed for a rape. I knew he ain't raped that chick. You know what I'm saying? Or sodomized that chick like they try to say he did. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what was the plan, but they got rid of 2Pac, man. You heard? They got rid of 2Pac. But those were the encounters, or those were the times that I met 2Pac. You know what I'm saying? Or that I was around 2Pac. You know what I'm saying? You heard? And I was around Biggie too a few times. You know what I'm saying? I was around Biggie, like I told you. First time I went to Tunnel, he was in there talking to a girl that I used to mess with from around my hood named Tashia. He was talking to her. I looked down, the nigga Tim's was leaning. You heard? Biggie Tim's was leaning. You heard? The nigga's song was the #1 song on the radio. He had Juicy was the #1 song on the radio at the time. You heard? Word to my mother. You know what I'm saying? Then as he was blowing up, Little C's, Junior Mafia, D-Rock, all them niggas, they used to be up in Club X, the Club Expo, the Black Expo. You heard? Used to be with Biggie at the Black Expo. Used to be with Biggie in the Tunnel. You heard? You know what I'm saying? Biggie, a whole Junior Mafia used to be in there. You heard? The whole Junior Mafia. You heard? Especially Lil C's and Lil Kim. D-Rock, Biggie. You heard? Niggas used to be in there doing them. You heard? This was in 1996. You heard? The Tunnel. Word, babe. So yeah, man, big shouts out. Rest in peace to 2Pac. Rest in peace to Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Hip-hop legends, you heard? They was authentic. Not only were they just rappers, you could see those dudes. You could touch those dudes, you know what I'm saying? You could rock with those dudes. Those dudes was regular dudes, man. 2Pac was official. See, 2Pac, when he was filming the movie Above the Rim, he jumped out of the limo getting his own smoke. He could have told any of his mans to go get the smoke, you heard? He went in Shaka Zulu by himself. Bought about 10, 15 bags, you heard? Know what I'm saying? Came out, bought some hats from the dude that I told you that sell all the hats in Harlem. He really was a chick, but he used to look like a man, you know what I'm saying? Everybody used to think he was a man, but he really was a chick. Everybody that from Harlem, they know that dude. They used to sell all the skellies, all the scarves, all the bootleg Tommy, the bootleg Guess. You heard he used to have all the Guess hats, the Tommy hats. Remember the Tommy hats with the Tommy and all the bootleg joints? Yeah, he was the first one with all that uptown. He was one of the only ones with all that. He had everything, and then that's when them dudes on 25th used to had everything on their tables and everything, you heard? This dude used to run around Harlem, and he had a table on 125th. He was the man, you heard? But he really was a chick. Everybody know that dude. 2Pac stopped to talk to him, me, all of us, bought hats from him, kicked it with us, gave us pound, jumped right back in the limo, and went to continue filming the movie. He had on the same get-up from above the rim, the whole get-up. Word to my mother, 2Pac was official. Walking out the garden, he had the gun out. You heard? He had it cuffed in his sleeve like this. You heard? 2 weeks later, I'm watching the news. 2Pac I'm listening to Hot 97. 2Pac shot 2 off-duty cops in Atlanta. 2Pac shot 2 off-duty cops in Atlanta. You couldn't tell me 2Pac wasn't finished. He was out. 2 weeks, he was out of jail. You heard? Word to mother. I was dumb happy. Got around that. You heard? Dumb happy. But when he lost his demise, I was in jail. And I remember when 2Pac was going through his joint, I was going through my joint. I just came out of coma, and they told me 2Pac was dead. Before I went into the coma, 2Pac was alive. They said 2Pac just got shot up. And I was watching the news. I was in prison. I was in an outside hospital in prison. You heard? And I was watching 2Pac got shot up in Vegas. You heard? I wound up going into a coma. I wound up going into my own coma, right? And when I woke up out the coma, 2Pac was dead. I couldn't believe it. 2Pac was dead. You heard? Rest up, 2Pac. You was my dude. Nobody could take nothing from you. You heard? You know what I'm saying? Nothing from you. You heard? That's why when they got on video where you got at, when you jumped in that incident with Orlando Anderson or whatever, I know how you is, B. You was official. 2Pac was official. You heard? You know what I'm saying? 2Pac was official. Rest in peace to 2Pac and Biggie Smalls. You heard?